Okay, I'm going to walk you through the Global Drought Observatory, showing the same case study we saw before with the European Drought Observatory. I'm not covering all the features of GDO, the Global Drought Observatory, but instead I will highlight just a few capabilities that complement what is available for the European Drought Observatory over Europe. So actually, even users just focused on parts of Europe may find what they may find useful from the Global Drought Observatory. There are wide overlaps in the basic indicators between the two observatories, and the user experience is very similar, with a left-hand panel menu with all the themes and similar toolbar on the top. However, the default theme showed on the map here is the risk of drought impact. And as a risk indicator, it shows the combination of hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. And this is in contrast to the European Drought Observatory, where basically the combined drought indicator is essentially hazard indicator. The risk indicator aims at showing not just the occurrence and severity of a drought, but also the exposure. So, for example, population exposed, assets, livelihoods, and the societal vulnerability, so sensitivity to drought and coping capacity. In GDO, there is a right-hand panel that summarizes the risk indicator by country. Here on the right, it is always shown at default by default at page opening. There is for each country there is a I, small I, which provides in terms of the indicator, the risk indicator, a percentage of the population exposed in the country. There's a zooming icon to zoom in the exposed area of that country, and when you zoom in, actually this list is updated. So I'm zooming in. I'm zooming in on Europe because now I will show you the same event, drought event of last year, so we can also see this from another point of view. And so I will select 2018 as before. This is 8 August. And the second decade, for instance, which was shown before. So the map shows the situation of the risk indicator during that 10-day period, the second decade of August. Here the hazard is very high, but since European countries have a high coping capacity, the risk indicator doesn't reach its maximum, so you don't see reds. Apart from the some countries in the Baltic area, even though this was a really strong event, a really strong event. As in EDO, on the left we have a menu where we can pick a theme to show on the map. However, there's a unique functionality in GDO which is accessible through the upper panel. So I'm not showing all the themes because they are very similar to those already in GDO. But instead I'm showing you one of the functionalities which we don't have in EDO, as is in a Global Drought Observatory. And by selecting any point on the map, we can access a dynamic report on that specific location and its administrative area. So now, for instance, I'm clicking a point on northern Germany.
First you have to have the icon, right?
Yeah, you have to select the I icon, report, and then you point and click somewhere, and it will open a new window with additional information on that specific location. So here I selected this point, and this page charts relate to that point I selected, or the administrative area where that point falls in. So we have the population, some general information on the country, then we have a summary of the risk of drought indicator over that area with a time series of the indicator itself, which shows in percentage of that highlighted region exposed to the risk. Then if we scroll down below, there is a time series for precipitation in the selected location plus the accumulated deficit below, and clearly this area experienced during last year a very strong precipitation deficit, as it highlighted by the difference between the line, which is the long-term average of precipitation, and the actual precipitation, which are the blue bars. We can select, these plots are interactive, so we can actually select different dates and to show the time series for that period. So here I'm showing just for the 2018, we can see that. And we can also see the cumulative deficit of precipitation for the selected period. So clearly there's for this event last year there was a strong deficit in precipitation for that area. Further down we have the SPI time series, which confirms in this case the event. So if we go on this charts already include the last 2 years, so we see also the 2018 event, and so I'm selecting a few meaningful SPIs for that period, and we can see this strong deficit reflected in different timescale SPIs. We can use this tool also to compare with past events, so we can select a date back in time. Let's say just picking 20 years ago, so we can see the other events affecting the same area in the past. So we see, for instance, the 2003 events was not so strong in that specific area, but we had this big event in 1996 and so on. So there's a way. This is also a tool which is useful to compare with the past events, and is updated every month together with the precipitation data coming from GPCC. Farther below, there are maps of FIPAR anomaly with a time series for it. Again, with the interactive plots where we can select only some specific indicators. We can zoom in a specific area, we can pan through it, and we can also export and download these plots as a PNG. So you can download these charts and put it somewhere. And so in moisture anomaly, the same. We have the map, and we can see for this period kind of really interesting picture, because this anomaly is widespread and very strong over the whole area. And so again, this was really a really extraordinary drought event. Finally, at the bottom of the page, there are a number of things, and for each we can explore the percentage of for each class risk. So here we have for a given date, we have a certain land use type and a percentage of each exposed to the certain class of risk. Finally, it's possible to export all of this information we saw on this page, and it's in different ways, in a range of different formats. If a report is selected, as a default is, you can put your email there, and you can send to yourself a PDF document which is pre-compiled with legends, with all nice impaginations. Well, nice, it's up to you, but we also provide for, but this is only for European Commission users, a Word document. But if you need a specific document, we can provide that for you. But for now, for external users, like most of you are, you can't request the Word document, so but you can get the same document in PDF format. You can also download, well, not download, but send yourself the a collection of the charts of the graphic content that you have in a page. So basically, you select certain dates, a range of dates, a range of the chart to show, and then you can send those to yourself as a collection of file in zip format. That will arrive to you in a few minutes by email. Another tool is just to download directly some of the data shown, and to my knowledge this is quite unique because it's not so easy to find this data is so easily downloadable in terms of time series. So you can get the precipitation time series in both JSON or table format. So we can select like for instance SPI series for the selected point, and we can download in table formats, and just you have it, and that's accessible to anyone, of course. So that was my part for the reporting, but in GDO there are also some other functionalities. As in OiEau, we also here have a way to compare indicators. So there is this the map comparison tool, where you can select an indicator, a range of dates, and then you can see a comparison of maps, just like in OiEau, as you saw before. There is another tool which this goes partly answers a question from you before, to compare with past events. If you go on this scroll down window on the main menu, there is this database of drought events, which I'm clicking on, where you can explore and walk through the past events at a global scale, by country or by micro-region, and across time. So in this page, it's a work done by Jonathan Spinoni on past events since the 50s to up to now, more or less, up to 2016 actually. And so on the right hand you can select a certain indicator. You can show it by country or by micro-region. This is part of a scientific paper which is being published, I think, recently. So you can find all the specific information, the data which is shown here on the paper, and then you can see, of course, the indicator and the different indicators we have, and we can scroll. We can go back in time and see for events during drought events during that time in the past, by country or by micro-region. We can also select a point, like for instance I may be interested in this event in Paraguay. So if I click on it, a table opens, sort of dashboard you have here, where you can explore for that country all events. You can also select another events, just clicking on the table, and so you can see again the map and the indicator for that specific event. And below you have analysis, a short chart where on a timeline you have the SPI values. This is the same as before. You can zoom in and see the events. You can select specific events, just clicking on them, and they show up on the right time scale, and you can explore those past events. You can also compare according to indicators by all the events which interested that country. So for instance, this chart, we can select the variable of interest and plot it, and we can see some information. So we can compare actually the severity of these different events, and we can also select by clicking on them. You can actually go to that specific event and have the information